Okay, hello all you crazy people out there. My name is Michael, I like wizards and dragons and making games, and welcome back to making tower defense games in Game Maker in 3D. So, the last couple of weeks I've been working on upgrading towers, and this week I'm going to be doing something similar. And that's going to be, just generally keeping track of stats for each tower, and keeping track of things like the number of shots that a tower has dealt, and the number of, like damage that it's done total. And I don't know if that's gonna be anything that factors into gameplay. I don't know if any like special level rank is gonna unlock if a tower has done a certain amount of damage or something like that. But it could just be a fun thing to display to the user in the UI, some stats like the number of shots fired and whatever. It'll be relevant stats for each tower, so obviously the birds aren't firing any shots, but maybe they'll keep track of something else. Total distance flown around the nest or something silly like that. So that should be today. It shouldn't be anything too intense. It should be just a little bit of fun. Starting off with just the base tower, and in the towers update method, there's going to be. How many of these can I collapse? Can I collapse like a lot of these methods just to make it cleaner? And take up less space. I can collapse that, get cell value, remove collision, upgrade. Can be upgraded. That's the enum. It is... Oh, update. I thought that was at the bottom for some reason. Maybe I was thinking of upgrade. So certainly something like the number of shots fired can be a stat that I keep track of. The number of damage that's been dealt total can be a stat that I keep track of. I will say self.stats is going to equal a struct. And this will be different for different tower types again. Self.stats, shots fired. I'll just call it shots because that's faster. That can be initialized to 0. Damage can be initialized to 0. Certainly those two are easy. When you shoot, when the shoot method is called, self.stats.shots when damage is dealt in the bullet object, the entity bullet object, fo.damage right here, we can say self.parent tower.stats.damage plus equals damage. That's the correct stat, right? Yeah, shots and damage. And that's easy enough. I don't have a way of displaying this to the user. Maybe if I were to go into the room editor, go to tower select, let's make this a little bigger. Let's make like another text area or something. Like this. Duplicate that, drag it down here. Okay, yeah, text labels can be made bigger if they want to be. I can stare awkwardly at my code trying to remember how it works. Is this 2? That's 2. That's 2 rows. And this is just going to be a text area. Creation code. Get text can be something like, if tower is not undefined, we can say text equals shots is going to equal string of tower.stats.shots plus a new line plus a line break plus damage dealt tower.stats.damage. And this text is being assembled in the UI object itself, but the different tower types later on, they will probably be like return a toString or something like that. And that's just going to be what's displayed. Let's see. I've only been recording this video for about 5 minutes now, and I think this is actually going to work as intended on the first try. So let me send in the first wave, or the first 2 waves at the same time, because I wasn't paying attention. Oh, did I double hit the spacebar, send in 2 waves at once? Is that why? Or was it because the first wave expired? I don't know. Anyway, we are taking shots. We are dealing damage. That's fun. I do kind of want to do like an achievement system later on. Achievements are largely meaningless, but they can be fun if you don't take them too seriously. And maybe like having a tower that reaches like 1,000 damage dealt in a single game could be something like that. And that would probably be a tower that carries you through like most of the game or something like that. I don't know.
Hey.
But I'm gonna die quickly. These work. I will not commit the changes to the creation code to the room. But I will commit the changes to the stats tract. And to generalize this, I'm gonna say toString. I'm gonna give myself a toString method. GameMaker has a bit of a hidden feature that is the toString method, and it allows you to implicitly convert structs to strings. For example, when you just say string, like some struct, the toString method determines what exactly is returned when you do that. And you can define your own. Not like in languages like Java or C# or whatever other object-oriented languages allow you to define your own toString methods for objects. I'm going to return something like this. I no longer need tower.stats.shots. I can just say self.stats.shots. Like that. And that's just going to return a string, and text is going to equal tower.toString. And that's just going to display those values without anything. It's just a regular method. I'm using it as a regular method, basically. So you can see if I were to send in the ways and all that the shots are being displayed, the damage dealt is being displayed. You can also just string the tower like this without calling the method. It'll do the same thing. I am going to not do this, and I'm going to do the first thing I wrote because it's, again, more clear as to how it's working. You can see, again, same thing. It's fine. Like that. It may be worth like consolidating the stats into the title of the tower, which shows the name and the level, like the tower type and the level. Yeah, let me do that. Actually, I actually like that better than what I'm doing now. This is gonna be tower.name plus the level in parentheses. Something like this. Let's add a new line there. Instead of tower.name, it will be once again self.name, self.level. And let's recommit that. And let's combine. Let's just combine these two user interface things. So I'm going to need to reposition this a little bit to make room. That should be enough space, right? It won't be formatted or anything. The text will just be centered. I thought about using Scribble as a text renderer to do like colored text and that sort of thing, and in this game, but honestly, I don't think I'm really going to be doing a lot of that, and it's probably just a little bit overkill. Let's see, it's also centered vertically, and that's fine because if I have another tower type that has a third type of stat or something, there'll be room. And it works. This is fine. I like this. Display tower stats in the UI. Okay. Next, other towers will, as you can imagine, I don't really need to have that open anymore. Other tower types will, as you can imagine, have their own implementations for the stats that they're collecting. I will override the default stats. Actually, I may extend it instead of overriding it. I'll override it. At least for some of them. Self dot stats is going to equal something else. Magnifying glasses. I guess the equivalent for shots for magnifying glass would be like the total sunshine focus duration or something like that. I'm going to initialize duration to 0 and, again, damage to 0. Damage is easy. Magnifying glasses don't shoot bullets. They just damage things as it is. This is, like, right here. This is going to get a little more complicated when we talk about burning things and whether or not something taking burn should credit the tower that induced the status on them with that damage. And currently, foes do not keep track of who induced the statuses on them. Especially considering poison and fire, that is kind of their entire thing. That is kind of their entire function. And if you're interested in stats for those towers, those are the stats that you'd probably be interested in. So I think in a bit I'm gonna add that. First though, stats. Damage will include this. The duration. All right, self.stats.duration is just going to plus equal the delta times to the number of seconds which this thing has been focused on it. I'm gonna add my own toString at the bottom for this tower, and it's gonna look a little bit different from the default toString for the regular tower. Instead of saying shots, I'll call it focus duration, and we can keep track of damage. All right, actually, wait. I'll give that a unit, just in seconds. And whether you're playing in real time or whether you're playing with like the game sped up by 2 times, it'll still be the same. Okay, so we can send in something. Focus duration is 0 seconds. I don't need the space there; it'll look fine. And the damage dealt is a fractional number. It's a floating point number. It may be a good idea to round that to at least like 1 decimal place, because I think 2 decimal places is a little much. But we'll see. And if I set that to double speed, you can see that the focus duration is going up at 2 seconds per second instead of just 1, which is nice. All right, another wave is coming in. This was my downfall with this thing, kinda, because if I focus on one like wave of enemies, I kind of let another through, and I'm gonna die quickly. All right, I can round this to 1 decimal place. String format. This is gonna be a special version of the converting number to string function, and that is going to the total is just going to be 1. I'm fine with the number of regular decimal places. It's just going to be as many as it needs to, and the decimal places is also going to be 1. All right, let's do that for damage dealt as well. Most towers can't do fractional damage, but magnifying glasses can. Okay. By the way, fire towers should also behave the same way as pebble shooter towers do. I shouldn't have to do anything special for those, although for the fire bullets, again, as they induce burn, I will, yeah, they're 1 decimal place. As the fire bullets induce burn, I will give them, a little bit of extra code that tells the game who to credit damage to. All right. Yeah. That's good. I'll do that later, though. I'll do that after the easy ones. Magnifying glass tower. I don't need that anymore. Bug spray. I'm going to keep track of the number of clouds spawned, the number of hits administered, and again, the number of damage dealt. Yeah, that sounds good. Spawn spray is going to be the equivalent of like, of take a shot or something like that. for the bug spray towers. When this happens, assuming a bug spray cloud is created, which is just in the spawn spray function, self.stats.clouds hits administer, that's going to be in the bullet for the cloud. That's entity bullet, entity bullet bug spray cloud. Here, I believe this is where a hit is administered. It only ticks down if the foe is not already poisoned, but I believe it does refresh the poison if the foe is already poisoned, and it walks through, and that's fine by me. Self.parent tower.stats.hits++, and the number of damage dealt we'll be dealing with later. So here's the toString for this. Name, level, that's pretty common. I'm going to have cloud spawned, and that's going to be stats.clouds. Shots is going to turn into hits. I could call it like victims or something, because that sounds like an inherently funnier word. And damage dealt just for later. String format. You know what? For damage, I'm just gonna make it a real number for this too, because some towers may do a fractional amount of damage. Like I'm not going to have there is no special fire tower structure, and fire may do a fractional amount of damage when it burns, and I would like that to display as the correct like 1 decimal place. Is that going to show a 0.0? Is that going to show a 0.0? Okay, yeah, that's 0.0. That's not the biggest deal. I can live with it showing 0.0. Anyway, bug spray. That's what I'm here for. Stats. Wait, what? Victims 54 already? That can't be. Oh, you know, that's because it's counting them continuously. Okay, so I will have it only count a hit if the foe has not already been poisoned. Okay, yes, that would become weird. That would basically be the number of frames in which foes have existed inside your poison clouds, which is a little bit maybe less useful of a stat. All right. Anyway, let's send you through victims. That is now counting up appropriately. Okay, poison tower stats. I am done with I'm done with this for now. I think I'm done with regular bullets too for now. There's the matter of birds, and there's the matter of the flypaper. Okay, so next we'll do birds, because I guess that's next in this list of tower types. Birds can have. I think birds are just going to have the same stats as the base tower, even though it's a special subclass of entity tower. The stats are going to be the same. The stats are just going to be the hits administered and the total damage dealt. Nothing else really changes. I made the joke earlier about like the total distance the birds have flown, but that's a number that's just going to be a distraction. It doesn't mean anything, and I don't want to accidentally confuse people into thinking it's meaningful. So I will leave the birds alone. Flypaper. This is probably going to be similar to poison, but instead of clouds and damage, it's probably going to be like the number of papers dispensed, which is basically the same stat, and I guess the duration of slow, the total duration of slow. I could make it like the total extra time bought by, or the total extra like distance bought by the paper, although that's a little bit of a weird figure. And that's another one that I don't know if is going to be immediately clear what it means or how to read it. So I think I'll just say papers and total duration. I can also say, like the number of immobilizations delivered might be a good one. Dispense. Okay, that's this one. And the dispense method self dot stats dot papers plus plus. All right, that's the first one. Hits is going to be in the bullet and in the fly paper, and when the hit is administered, self dot parent tower dot stats dot hits plus plus. Duration, we'll get back to that, and stuns is also going to be, I believe, in here. Oh, this is in the on hit. All right, I'm gonna have to actually edit the on hit here. I'm gonna have to do that anyway. Self.parent tower.stats.stuns plus plus plus. That will only be displayed to the user if that like upgrade has been unlocked. Name, papers dispensed, victims. I'll call it victims here too. Damage dealt. Duration. This I'm gonna break up into multiple statements. I'm gonna save it to a variable called value and then return value. And then if self.level is greater than or equal to 3, I can say value plus equals a new line, which was not there before, and immobilizations. Like that. And that will make the extra line appear when you upgrade, which tracks the number of immobilizations you've delivered. Okay. It is duration instead of damage, though. Okay, that's sort of fun. That's sort of a fun stat. I will test that. I'm gonna have to actually play through the game to get to the immobilizations part to make sure that that is working as intended, but I can do that at the end of the video. I'm just gonna plop something like that down. I'm gonna plop something like this down, which I apparently don't have money for. Now I have money for it. I can look at your stats, and these numbers look reasonable. Just making sure that I didn't like misspell a variable name and have the game explode in my face. Fly, paper, tower, stats, and lastly, this shouldn't be too much work, but each foe is now going to, in addition to keeping track of their burn status and their immobilization status or whatever, self dot whodunit for each stat is going to be initialized to undefined. What's the other one? Slow and immobilize. Does that one really need it? Because that one's kind of tied to slow at the moment. I'll leave that. I'll keep that. We can keep track of who is to blame for each of these statuses. Burn. This whodunit is going to be an extra parameter for each of these status inducers. I won't keep track of the poison factor for now. If it becomes important, it shouldn't be too hard to add it, but no need to complicate things. I also do realize that I never gave the poison the duration parameter. Alright. Again, tedious work. I will just cut that out of the video because it took a minute, and I don't need to waste anyone's time showing them that. We now know who is to blame for each of these statuses. Next, we just need to go through the code and find all the places where we need to supply that information. This can be burn duration, which just takes the... Okay, so slow is the only one that takes a slowing factor, I think. Yeah, slow is the only one who takes a factor. At least for now. And whodunit is going to be self.parent tower. And that is going to be the case here and here. This is the magnifying glass tower. This is where the magnifying glass tower induces a burn. So we can just give it burn duration, and instead of self, instead of self.parent tower, it's just going to be self because the tower is applying the effect directly in this case. Next, poison. Alright, so this is going to supply duration. This can be poison duration. The default poison duration. And self.parent tower is to blame. Again, slow is most likely going to be the same thing. Yeah, slow is going to be the same. These parameters really aren't optional anymore, because if I try to make some parameters in the middle of the method signature optional and others not, then then it's going to become a weird mess of like undefines going into the function calls, and that's probably not something I really need. Anyway, that's everyone. And lastly, immobilize. I think the only place where immobilize is called is here. Okay, nope. Wrong copy paste. Self.parent tower. Okay, so now everyone knows who is to blame for their problems. Which is one way that you can look at this matter. And the game should perform the same. The game should behave the same. The game shouldn't crash in any places where it didn't used to crash. I'm just going to slap down a couple towers that induce status. We are going to see that they are working. Fire. Alright, clumping statuses together. That's a fun time. Burn and poison on top of each other do add up, don't they? Very nice. The game doesn't break. I will make this commit. I really like that terminology, in case you haven't noticed. And lastly, we will just... If status immobilized is greater than 0, we're not tracking immobilization time, just the number of immobilizations delivered, so that's, I guess, not that relevant. Status burn. This can be self dot whodunit for the burn dot stats dot damage plus equals this, right? And both towers that can induce that being the fire tower and the magnifying glass tower, do have a damage stat that they're tracking, so that should be fine. Poison is going to be similar. Poison is going to be similar. Slow is going to be, instead of plus some damage value, it's just going to be the time, the total amount of time that things have been slowed. Okay, I think that is everything. I think that is all of the stats that I really think of tracking right now. I hope this video doesn't go on too long. The last two are lengthy. I want to not be as lengthy this time. If I were to break out a fire tower. This video should also be fairly light on the editing. Yeah, the burn damage is stacking up here. Okay, I could just eliminate point zeros. If the damage value rounds to 0, I could just, instead of string formatting it for 1 decimal place, I could just use the regular string function, which would not include zeros. Anyway, that works. Flypaper dispenser to slow you down. Damage. Did I? Oh, I said to set this to duration, didn't I? Guess I never did. It should be duration. Yeah, it's duration. Alright. You may continue. Let's, put one of those there. Put a fire tower next to it. I accidentally launched 2 waves. Your damage totals are stacking up quickly. I think I'm gonna die, aren't I? Bug sprayer to the rescue. The bug sprayer did not rescue me. Did a lot of damage quickly though. You can definitely see what game over. You can definitely see what some of the better DPS towers are this way. Alright. I think I am satisfied with this. I know I haven't done a great deal of testing, but I've done enough testing that should cover all the cases where different edge cases could arise. That's gonna be it. I'm gonna end this off here. I do hope this is a little on the shorter side. I do hope it's a little bit easier to edit than the last 2 weeks worth of videos have been. I am going to mark a tag 0.37. This is going to be week 37. If you want the code for this, link in the GitHub repository in the video description, as always. Let's see what else. I have a Patreon, so if you want to contribute towards these videos being made, there will be links to that in all the usual places. Otherwise, I try to post about 2 game dev videos a week, 1 of these and 1 tutorial. Probably the next 1 or 2 videos that I make on tower defense is probably finally going to be doing with optimization. I did make a series of optimization videos a couple weeks ago on 3D optimization, and I do want to employ some of those to make the game run a little bit better, because it's not performing badly, at least not on my computer, but I would like to. It's doing a lot of work that it doesn't have to, and I'd like to tighten it up a little bit so that hopefully it can be played on multiple different devices. I'm probably going to be breaking out the Raspberry Pi again for testing for optimization purposes. I don't know if this is ultimately going to be really playable on the Raspberry Pi, but it should be, I'd like to give it a shot anyway, and that's probably going to be next week and possibly the week after that. We'll see. Yeah, I will see you all later. By the way, if you do want to test this yourself, if you do want to test the game balance and see what you think about the tower balance and that sort of thing, what towers suck, what towers need to be nerfed, and in what ways, let me know. You can do that too. Cloning the GitHub repository, playing the game, running the game, it should run out of the box once you clone the repository in GameMaker Studio 2.3.2. But yeah, I haven't been saying that, but I should get in the habit of saying it if you're into that. Bye. Special thanks to Kiara Elizabeth, Connor, David Key, Edward Holt, Emily Koyo, Gregory, Posho, Tusk, and Zenith for supporting these videos. If you want to see your name in the credits or to hear yourself shouted out at the end here, head on over to the Patreon page in the video description to join the fun.